Good evening. Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
I forgot there for a second.
You looked in the wrong place, didn't
I
you?
did.
Even though I put up a big sign that says, look here.
Yeah, you're moved slightly. You won't realise you moved, but you're moved slightly because we've had a...
And we'll keep going
change
like
round.
this.
Yeah, and I'm going to get
I'm looking where the screen is.
stiff neck, I think.
As opposed to where the camera is. Hi, everyone.
Marion's here first. She's asking how we are. We're all feeling better. Yes, we're all negative now.
To be honest, I wasn't poorly.
No, you just had a bit of flu-y.
I felt a bit fluey and was really tired and fell asleep a lot.
And me like a ninja.
But not actually. Didn't really have.
They underestimate me.
I really hope he gets it now tomorrow.
Thanks.
It was your own fault. But negative today. So today is day 5.
Yeah.
And negative. So that's good.
So we're all COVID clear. It breached our borders briefly.
Briefly and gently kind of snuck in.
Got it back.
We did.
So anyway, thank you and welcome to the Wiccan Warriors Sunday show. This is a show where we talk about random things and share information and try and not communicate. What's the word for getting people together? My brain just took the word away.
Was you thinking of commune?
No, like collaborate. It's a good opportunity. Congregate and collaborate. Sit down and listen. It's turned into a bad rap now.
A really bad rap.
But that was the idea behind it. And so we're Alistair and Penny. Welcome to the show. That's for anybody who's not seen us before and quickly sort of logging in. Good evening, Sharon. Nobody's read my actual comment at the top.
I can't say that.
I put at the top, so when you arrive, type warrior, insert name here, has arrived, like an announcement of yourself, but nobody noticed it, nobody read it. They just logged in and went, hi. Oh. So that's fine. But anyway, on tonight's show...
Wait. Didn't know if you wanted to mention.
Yeah. On tonight's show...
So add it to your list. Like you intended.
You know this is live, yeah? We can't edit none of that back out again.
What, me being right?
You're always right, even when you're wrong. So on tonight's show, this is what we're going to be talking about. It's going to be an update on my forthcoming tarot workshop, which will be for beginners and experienced tarot readers as well, if they wish. My topic of this evening is going to be, should we have 13 months in the year? Would that make us healthier as human beings? And I'll explain why in a bit. The legends surrounding haunted dolls and their top, how many have you got? 5?
Yeah.
And the top 5 haunted dolls in the world. So we're going to have a little chat about those. Psychic night coming up. We're just waiting for confirmation of a date in May from the manager at Ryan's. And the cups, mugs actually, the competition mugs, they all got sent out. So I'm hoping, I don't know if anybody's received them yet. I was a bit of a cheapskate and sent them second class.
It's all the same now.
But I figured they'd just move them slightly slower than the other ones.
There was one person that we haven't got their address for, wasn't there?
Yes.
Philippa Hutt.
Philippa Hutt. I still need your address to send you your mug. So if you're watching, get in touch.
Yeah.
Good evening, Chloe's just arrived. Good evening, Chloe. Has your mug arrived yet?
Fashionably late.
Has anybody's mug's arrived?
If they've arrived, I want to see a mug shot.
Marion's hasn't arrived yet. Marion's was travelling the furthest. I actually put 2 fragile stickers on that one because it was travelling the furthest.
One for her and one for the mug?
Yeah. We're also going to mention about the silent protest, the 10 at 10, to do with the electricity and the power companies. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Let's just dive into it. I'm not going to bore you with what's going on in our week because we got stuck at home because somebody got COVID briefly.
Although I did training at stupid o'clock yesterday morning.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Okay, so we watched a short film online called The Doll Maker, which was a genius story. I don't know if anybody's seen it. How long was it? About 20 minutes, 30 minutes? Wasn't very long at all.
It's one of them kind of independent films.
Yeah, so basically it was about a doll. It was about a couple who had lost their son. And it opened in the doll maker's workshop where they were standing over a very bizarre looking doll. And the narrative over it was provide some clothes that they would have worn that hasn't been washed and an item that meant a lot to them. So clearly this doll was wearing a very small boy's outfit and had a baseball glove, but looked a bit weird. The mum picks it up and hugs it, and it comes alive. It becomes a little boy.
She sees what she wants to see.
Her.
Yeah.
So the dad's like, that's weird, that's a doll, it's a lot of money, this is all a scam, let's go. And then he touches the doll's hand, and then he sees it as a little boy, and it's like, oh, this is a bit weird. So they take the doll home, but they have specific instructions, as you always do with these kind of films, in that you can only hold the doll for an hour
At a time.
Per day, and you're given an hourglass, and that basically is an hour of time. So when the sand runs out, you have to put the doll away, not touch it again. If you don't follow the instructions, it messes with your mind and it robs you of your sanity, your reality, and your memory. So the only thing that you remember is the child that this doll is. Obviously, broken-hearted mum does not follow the instructions at all, completely loses it, and dad can't get anything out of her at all.
Don't give away the ending, no.
Okay, dad can't get anything out of her at all, so I'm going to need to stop there then. So find it. It's called Doll Maker. It's very dark. It's very short story, but it's very dark and very clever.
It is quite clever. It plays on that want and need to have a deceased person that's been taken away from us before.
It's somewhere between Pet Sematary and Pinocchio, for want of a better way of putting it. It's bizarre.
It is really clever. Yeah, no, don't give away the ending though. No, that's a really good ending.
It was a really good story, really good. Anyway, so that prompted us to think about dolls. Obviously, we've done a little switch around of our rooms here for recording. So we're now
Let us know what you think.
What was the Reiki room, because the room that we were recording in the office is now the training room.
Yep. I will do some videos and some little snippets around in there because that's the environment. That's where we'll do the workshop. If you feel
nosy.
Yeah. Or you could book, come and have a reading and then you'd see it.
Well, you've took a photo in here 5 minutes before we came live.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the light identifies a load of mist within the room that isn't here. It's not visible.
Some kind of weird light refraction anomaly's gone off up there.
Really interesting.
I'll post it in a bit.
Makes me want to smudge the room because obviously our lovely little friend Annie, who I swear to God has moved, and was looking that way, is now looking this way.
Yeah.
She still resides within this room, so we need to do a bit of smudging. So moving on, talking about haunted dolls. So
before we do that, I need to just quickly check up on the people who are sharing the love. Can you, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, if you're on Facebook, can you click the love likey buttony thingy, show some love? It shows their algorithm as well that we're really fat, really good.
Yeah.
And if you're watching on YouTube, a little like, share, or subscribe.
All right, Granville, subscribe.
Or a little subscribe. Yeah, there we go. See the love hearts appear.
Yeah, who have we got?
Love and light. Jammin' J, Chloe.
Jammin' J. Hi, Jamie.
Marion McElhern, Sharon Stevenson. Leah's just dropped in. Didn't want to miss out.
In your own time.
Our #1 fan.
Who I made wait in the garden yesterday, so I didn't disease her.
Right, now they've given us all that love.
Yeah.
Now scare them.
Okay. So it's not really scary. Some of you will have heard about the first doll. So the first doll is Robert the doll. So Robert the doll lives in a museum in Florida currently, and people ask permission to take photos with him. Apparently, if you don't ask permission or he doesn't want you to take a photo, something will happen to your camera. Your camera will be damaged at some point. So everybody asks permission, although he doesn't respond, so it's potluck whether he wants you to or not. Apparently he moves around, and they've got evidence of that, photos and CCTV. So parts of him move, not like he gets up and has a little boogie. Apparently his expression changes. It's on film somewhere that he blinks and has been known to make sounds. He is held within a hermetically sealed glass case. And bizarrely, he receives a lot of letters, and the letters are from people apologising for not asking permission or for in some way being disrespectful to him, because since they've seen him within a short period, really bad stuff's happened. So they've put that down to...
Hi, Danny's just arrived.
Hi, Danny. They've put that down to that he is displeased. So there are a lot of letters begging for his forgiveness. He receives a lot of fan mail.
So does somebody actually have to sit and read them out to him?
I don't know.
Or do they just put them in front of him?
That's an interesting job. What would you write on your CV? I talk to a doll all day.
I can think of worse jobs.
Well, yeah, there is that. So anyway.
Working for Amazon.
Robert the doll's origin. Robert was given as a doll to a young lad called Robert Jean Otto. The little boy was called by his middle name, Jean, so they decided to call the doll Robert, okay, because it was his doll. And he talked to the doll every day, and he spent lots of time playing with it. And then things got a bit weird, and they could hear giggling and movement when he was in the room on his own. This went on for years, but they never actually saw anything happen, although he had physically moved, or they could hear these sounds. So eventually Jean grew up and he moved out of the house, and Robert the doll was locked in the attic. Interestingly, there became lots of sounds coming from the attic, the sound of little feet running, giggling, things like that. Many years pass, the house is sold. The people that move in hear these noises in the attic and think, must be something up there. So they go and investigate, and they see the doll and they say, that's a really nice doll. Let's get it out of the attic.
I know you're doing spooky voice, but remember there's a microphone. People have got to hear you at home.
They can hear me. I've got quite a loud
I feel like you were getting quieter and quieter. You're building up to some suspense.
No, there's really not with this story. So they bring him down out of the attic, get a bit freaked out because the same things are happening. He's physically moving. They're hearing giggling. They're hearing footsteps running around the house. They get freaked out. So they donate him to this museum, which is where he's lived ever since.
Is that what you would do if you found... I looked there again. Sorry, guys. Is that what you would do if you found a suitcase in the attic with a doll in it and you only found it because you could hear footsteps?
Would you shut the attic door, set fire to the house, and drive away?
I know what I would do.
Well, I know, but it's not you. So that is the actual story of Robert the doll. There are so many stories that originate around him. There's obviously the film The Boy. There's documentaries that spice it up a little bit and add lots of things moving about, but nobody's actually seen him move real time, I believe. But still a bit creepy. So That's that one.
Jay's saying that they can hear you fine. It's just
See?
me. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Whatever.
It's
And
just strange for me
it's
to hear
not-
Penny quietly talking. She's
it's-
always shouting at me.
That's Jerry, and Jerry knows that because I'm quite stern, aren't I, Jerry? Okay, so that's a private joke.
There's a film on Netflix, apparently, according to Danny, called Robert the Doll.
There is, and again, it looks just like Robert the Doll,
Give you a little
and
shout out, Danny.
it's again spiced up a little bit, but the whole thing is really super creepy about a doll. So we move on to the next one.
The next one.
The next one, a man called Kerry Walton, who buys and sells collectibles. So basically, old tat sees an abandoned building and thinks this is an opportunity. I'll have a little look, see if anybody's left anything behind. And he properly starts rootling around, pulling up floorboards for whatever reason.
That's criminal damage.
Then he realizes that there's something under the floorboards, freaks out, thinks it's a person, realizes it's a doll. A really creepily made doll, really detailed face, but quite bizarre looking. So he takes the doll away. Within a couple of days, the house is knocked down.
Yeah.
So did the doll know that the house was going to be demolished and therefore lured him there
Affected
to
his
get him
will.
out? Yeah. Did that happen? We'll come to why that's possible later. So the house is demolished. He's a little bit creeped out by the doll, but it's like, oh, I might be able to sell it. So he pops it in the trunk of the car. He drives home. While he's driving home, he can hear noises and banging that just gets louder and louder from the trunk of the car. And then he hears a howling sound that's saying, let me out, over and over again. So he's like, this is all a bit weird. Finally gets home, grateful to get home. He takes the doll out of the boot of his car, and his lovely family dog, that's the kindest, gentlest thing you've ever seen, goes berserk, barking, growling at this doll, really lost the plot. His family are massively repulsed by this doll. They don't like it at all, freaks them out, really don't like it. So he takes it in, but his children love it. And they spend all day playing with it every day. And then on one particular night, they take it to their bedroom. And he's in the bed, the doll's in the bedroom with them. And then Kerry is woken up in the middle of the night by the kids screaming, absolutely screaming, terrified
That's not what I would do,
of this
admittedly.
doll.
But I can understand your logic.
He locks it in a suitcase, puts it in the basement, where it stays for 5 years. Okay, nothing else happens in this 5 years. They kind of forget a little bit. And then he talks to somebody who says, oh yeah, let me see the doll. And they look at the doll and they say, yeah, we know the story of this doll. This doll was made by Romanian gypsies, and it was made by a particular one who made it for his son, who then drowned at the age of 6 years old. They took to calling it Letter. So it was Letter the doll. And they called it Letter because of the way he shouted, let me out.
Let me out.
Let me out. Very odd. That was a little bit Italian. Apologies.
Only if you do that. Let me out.
Basically, with the Romanian gypsies, what they did when someone died was they held a ceremony for soul transference. And it is believed that when the little boy died, they did this ceremony and that his soul transferred into the doll. So the doll's not evil, and it's saying, let me out, because it's a frightened little 6-year-old child that doesn't know where he is.
Stuck inside a
He's
doll.
trapped inside the doll. So it's the soul of a confused child. It's not in any way evil. So he's thinking, this is a bit odd. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with this. Clearly the kids don't like it anymore. Need to get rid of it. I'll sell it. So he did. Put it online to sell. Took the doll to the seller to deliver
Yeah, you
it.
see. Now you feel guilty.
See, it is sad. But here's the weird thing. He took the doll to the seller, to the person he'd sold it to. When he got there, he couldn't remove the doll from the car. He'd put it on the back seat and he couldn't move it. And the doll was like glued to the seat. And no matter how much he pulled, he just could not get the doll out of the car. So that freaked him out. He decided, you know, this isn't going to work. Clearly can't sell it. He went home. Doll immediately came out of the car. He got in touch with various psychics who all came, spent time with the doll. They all said the same thing. There's a child in there. But the thing is now, this child feels safe with you.
Yep.
So you have to keep this doll forever. It is yours. And you mustn't try and get rid of it because you won't ever be able to. The doll will always return to you. What's peculiar is that you hear the shouting and weird, and it rains if you take the doll outside.
Yeah,
randomly starts raining. If you've got it in a room with you, like in here, and he was sitting and there's actually a recording of him sitting holding the doll, pictures just fall off the wall, just randomly, which is quite weird as well. But anytime there's a dog near the dogs freak out.
Yeah, they don't like it.
No matter what the temperament is, the dogs feel that there's something different and they completely freak out. But they've basically said to him, the soul in that doll is linked to you forever and you will never get rid of that doll. And he still has that doll to this day.
Strange. That would be cool, though. But with great power comes great responsibility.
It does. And what happens when he dies? Weird.
Well, yeah, it must be going
so
to somebody.
I like that.
Anne-Marie just popped in, so she can't join live. Catch up later.
All right, my lovely. Fabulous.
No.
We're seeing you at the end of the month.
Pop by.
Anyway. So we ready for the next one?
No, let's come away from the haunty stuff. Let me have a little bit of a chat, and then we'll come back to.
I'm building them up to a crescendo. That's the thing. Do you think these stories are interesting?
How much truth do you think there is? Do you know? I mean, I've got a doll that has some form of energy, but I've not sat with her enough.
That told me her name was what her name was, even though we were told completely different.
So yeah, you know, what do you guys think? If you've got a doll, what stuff happens? Let us know.
I'm going to tell you about Anna, our lovely doll. In that I don't think it's that she doesn't like me. I just think that she really likes you and doesn't like your attention being anywhere else.
Yeah.
Rather than I just don't like you kind of thing. I'm amazed how long she's lived in the house and that I've allowed it, to be fair. Because I did say no haunted dolls.
You've allowed it? We're about to have our first domestic on live on Facebook.
Oh, she's his forever.
I've got to be responsible for
her. Okay. Anne-Marie will take her back.
No.
Okay. Right. So, did you want to say anything else?
Yes. I want to take a little sidestep, just briefly, to talk about my tarot workshops that are coming up.
Okay.
I'm just in the process of getting all of the training as far as the content and what you'll get out of it is done in here. I know exactly how I want it to be. I know exactly how much of the origin story I want to cover, with it being enough with you having enough information about the origins of tarot, but also we soon move into your own individuality within tarot. So it's learning to channel the strong elements, and it might not even be tarot. Although this is called a tarot workshop, you could use any form of divination with the techniques I'm going to be teaching. So it's open to all levels. There'll be small groups because I want it to feel quite intimate. It's probably the wrong word, but I want the power to be manageable with 5 or 6 people. Okay. You know what I mean? I don't want, like I say, I don't want a large classroom of people where I can't individually give people time to help with whatever energy it is, or if it's a practicality of something. So I've got a few people already on the kind of priority list who want to know straight away when it's available. We'd be holding it here, so it's Northamptonshire based, near Kettering. So if you want to know, let me know, and I'll let you know first as soon as it's available.
It'd be great if you could bring your own tarots.
Yep.
So start spending time with cards and see which ones you're comfortable with.
But even if you haven't got a set of tarot cards, we've got cards that we can lend you, or just pick up a pack. Pick a penguin. I got distracted.
I think we worked out we've actually got 10 sets of tarot cards.
So if needs be, you could borrow a deck for the practicalities of understanding them. But
when you're learning to connect with the cards, it's better if you're connecting with the cards that you're going to use. Yeah,
and I'm going to try, if I can, to teach people how I read tarot and work the shamanistic side of things, so that it's not just all to do with my tarot cards, it's also to do with my guides and who's around. And I'm hoping within the sort of 3 or 4 hour session that it'll be, we can cover all of that and everybody goes away kind of fully charged, knowing exactly what they're doing, with plenty of homework and then plenty of support afterwards, because it's only a small group. So I'm looking forward to getting that advertised properly.
And again, if you want to book tarot parties, get on it, because we're getting booked up.
Yeah, we have got a few. We're still waiting for a date to come in from Ryan's, because
this one's booked solid.
Yeah, this one's booked up. But we were waiting because the manager, Ryan's got COVID, didn't he? So they were off.
No, it wasn't me. I didn't touch him.
So it's not just us that's been affected by this. Other people have been affected as well.
Yeah.
Can't go do stuff.
So if you're interested, drop us a message.
Yeah, that same goes for the psychic night. If you want advanced knowledge of it before,
tell us.
Stick it on
We're
Facebook,
keeping lists.
Let us know, because the psychic nights we limit to 15 people. That's it. It's 15 people.
Yeah, we did more, and it's a little bit manic.
Yeah, it was too much. That's my little business interlude. Now back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Alistair. Okay, I'm going to do these in a different order because there's one particular story.
Marion says this is all really interesting.
Excellent. Jerry wants some more information.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, so I'm going to do these in slightly different order because there is one particular story that really made me feel uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable. So I'm going to do that one last. So I'm going to do a story that pretty much everybody knows about, and that is Annabelle, not our Anna.
Can you grab Annie?
Do I have to?
Yeah. Pass her here.
Sorry.
There we go.
Don't let her look at me.
No, hang on. Oh. She was right behind the microphone. She didn't like that.
No, she's looking at me now. I don't want her
screen.
to look at me.
There we go.
All right. It's making me feel a little bit
stare
uncomfortable.
at everybody at home.
Before I start the story, the camera just had a moment. Before I start the story, I logged on to do training at 7:15 yesterday morning.
There's Sharon saying hi.
And there was just me sitting there, and in this chair she was sitting. And the lovely lady that logged on, I could see her kind of going like this. But she never said a word. She said nothing at all about the doll. And it was only afterwards I thought she acted a bit weird, and then realised she was on the chair and thought I better move her before it freaks everybody else out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, right. Tell us the stories.
Okay. So, I'm going to... Annabelle.
Are you sitting comfortably?
Then I'll begin. So, Annabelle was a Raggedy Ann doll that was given to a lady called Donna. So some parts of the cinematography are correct.
Right.
So it was given to a lady called Donna that lived in an apartment. She did frequently change positions, like she would be in a chair and then all of a sudden she'd be leaning over the chair or sitting in the other side of the chair or be on a different bit of furniture in the room. But what was freaky was she went out one day, came back, and Annabelle was standing in her living room, like as if she'd opened the door and caught her mid-walk.
Oops.
Just standing upright in the living room. And it was like, okay, this is like super weird now. Put her back, was a bit freaked out. And then she found her in the living room again.
Stop trying to move.
Sitting on the sofa. So she'd moved from the room she was in to another room and was sitting comfortably on the sofa, apparently with her arms and legs folded. Like, where have you been? Yeah. Kind of thing.
Nice.
So she was freaked out. She told her friend, she told her male friend, Lou, about it. He became very upset about the whole thing. Then letters started appearing around the apartment saying, help me, help us, help Lou. Just randomly spread around the apartment. So again, some of the cinematography is correct. What really freaked Donna out was she came home to find Annabelle in her bed covered in what looked like blood.
Clara.
Yeah. So freaked out. She contacted a medium, and the medium said there's a 7-year-old girl, a 7-year-old girl that was killed near the apartment, and it's her soul that's transferred into the doll. That is what the doll has told me. It's not a great thing, but you know, these things happen. Lou, her male friend, starts having creepy dreams, really bad dreams, especially when he sleeps over. He has a dream that Annabelle's choking him to death. He can see her, he can feel her hands on his neck, don't get ideas. Wakes up in the morning and is convinced, you know, that weren't a dream, that was too real. It was proper bizarre. So they phoned the church, and the church, the minister, put them in touch with the Warrens, who we all know were very churchified. They came out, spent time with the doll, and said, it is not the ghost of, or the spirit of a little girl that's in there at all, especially that little girl who was Annabelle Higgins, hence why Annabelle. It actually isn't her at all. It's a demon.
Dun, dun, dun.
And demons, as we discussed on a show a couple of times back, do not have one before, I think. Yeah. Do not have corporeal form. They need a body to inhabit. So basically, they look for somebody vulnerable, usually mentally vulnerable, so that they can go whoop and move in. So interesting that the Warrens
said, your
question
in a minute, Jay.
That the demons, the demon had gone into the doll. Now, so after much consultation, they decided it wasn't safe for the doll to stay because there was an indication that the demon's actual purpose was to inhabit Donna. Because bearing in mind, she's quite broken at this point, very vulnerable. Likelihood of happening is quite high. So they said, we really don't think that you should keep the doll. So they had a case made up. It was hermetically sealed glass case that's got a do not open sign on it and a crucifix, and she is put in there. She is still seen apparently to move about in the case and to blink and make noises and things. On their journey home with her, yes, the car had lots of problems, which I think is in one of the movies, in that it just
Isn't the
things
doll?
it started to stutter, and then things happened, and then the lights went off on it, and then something else happened, and then the car just stalled and wouldn't restart. And the only way they could get the car to restart was that Ed Warren threw holy water over Annabelle and the car restarted.
Because that's the biggest difference between reality and the film, is that the Annabelle doll's completely different looking.
Yeah, because it's not creepy enough, because a Raggedy Ann doll doesn't look
Yeah, that's what I mean.
creepy.
But I think it would have. I think personally, it would have been better if they'd used the Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah, maybe.
Not a stereotypical.
Yeah. So, apparently, a couple who were taking a tour of their museum of artifacts, the Warrens Museum, a young couple, he was trying to show off for his girlfriend, was like, ha ha ha, Annabelle, tapping on the case, come on, move, you're supposed to be really creepy and I'm not scared of you, and all of this, trying to impress his girlfriend, who was just freaked out and like, why the hell? On their way home, had a massive car crash. Coincidence? Maybe or maybe not. I don't know. So we all kind of know the story of Annabelle, but it is obviously sensationalized.
Yeah, but you have to do that.
And throw in some jump scares and things.
So yeah,
and I will say that I don't believe that's true. What I don't believe is true. Do I think that there is a spirit within the doll? I think it is quite likely, because that does happen, or at least an energy within the doll that is stored. I think I've always said the reason why I'm uncomfortable with dolls is because a lot of emotion and energy is poured into a toy.
Yeah.
Or if a child is sad, they cuddle their teddy bear or their doll. If they're happy, they play with them. And there's a lot of energy that goes into that. Do I think that a demon would go into a doll? No. A demon is looking for a form that it can use. And they look for human form because they can manipulate it. You can't manipulate a doll.
Who was it said it was a demon?
The Warrens.
No. Who was it said originally it was a demon?
The Warrens.
I thought it was a minister.
No, the minister phoned the Warrens and said, you need to come and look at this doll because it's a bit dodge.
Right, because I lose all faith in all of this sort of stuff when somebody says it's possessed, like you say, for a demon.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like a pathetic waste of time for such an entity to waste its time on an inanimate object. But also the fact that...
That's quite difficult to manipulate, and I'm not being funny, going to struggle with stairs.
Yeah.
And how quickly is it going to get you?
And it's always based on a religious belief.
Cool.
As opposed to just saying there is an energy in there. They immediately tag it as the opposite of Christ.
Oh, there is a recording actually of Ed Warren in front of Annabelle's case saying it is not the spirit of a child, it is not the ghost of a child, it is a devil or demon that went into that child.
So that's where I lose it.
But we all kind of know that story. Did you say there was a question?
Yes.
I can't say that I'm necessarily going to answer it.
Jay is asking, what's your views on the Warrens?
I think that the Warrens were God-botherers, and that if there was any real ability there, I would be surprised. Because I certainly, from stories that I know about them and from recordings that I've seen of them, I do not see a sensitive. I see somebody who likes control and power and enjoys the spotlight.
I pass that to you because I genuinely have no idea who they are or what they did.
To be fair,
the films. I've never looked to research them.
The lady in the films that plays Lorraine Warren, I absolutely empathise with her. I think that her ability is amazing. But do I think the real Lorraine Warren was like that? Not in the slightest.
That's what I mean. I don't
As
know.
I say, I've
I've never
seen
looked.
quite a lot of recordings, and they are not anything like the two lovely in love people that are portrayed in the movies. That is pure cinematography.
Yeah.
Pure. So no, I'm not keen.
And I don't know. I've never researched them as to who they are. I'm a massive Conjuring fan and all of that sort of horror movie.
Oh, I
genres.
like them, but I like them in that.
Yeah, in the films they're
in
great.
The movie, I think they're
I've
fabulous.
never researched who they are in real life, so I couldn't say.
I can't read what that says.
There's so many inconsistencies with the Warrens. Yeah, there is.
There is. But didn't they get really famous really fast? And to be fair, there are so many stories that are around their involvement in the Amityville situation that is nothing like what you see in the movie at all. I would be very skeptical about any ability that was there at all.
Good story writing.
Excellent story writing. Made cracking films. Just in life, people are frightened, and and they had God on their side.
Yep, some people pick the right bandwagon and it pays out.
And at that point, when there was a lot of fear, absolutely it paid out.
Yeah,
for sure.
Have you got another doll?
I have.
Do you want another story?
I've got another 2 dolls. So I'm going to talk really quick. Okay, so now we come on to Harold the doll. More up to date, this one. So in 2003, a chap went to a flea market in the middle of nowhere. And he saw a really weird antique male doll. Now, having seen the doll, from first view, I wouldn't have looked at it and gone, that's a male doll. I would have thought that's a doll that's lost its hair. Very weird, but it's clearly an antique doll anyway. He really wants this doll. The old man that's selling it kind of is reluctant. And you think, well, why did you even take it there anyway? So he finally agrees to sell it. He tells the man it's called Harold. Man pays for it. As he's walking away, apparently he's chased after by this old man who said, look, before you go, I really need to tell you the history of this doll. Because I'm really uncomfortable letting him go, but I need to tell you the history. So this doll was a gift to the old man's son, who died shortly after he was given the doll. They left the doll in the boy's bedroom after he'd died. As time passed, randomly they would hear singing and laughing coming from the little boy's bedroom when nobody else was there. So nobody was in the room, but they could hear singing and laughing. This went on for quite some time. They got more and more freaked out. The old man got to the point where he really freaked out, tried to burn the doll to get rid of it, but it wouldn't catch light. No matter how much he tried, it wouldn't burn. So he decided the only way I'm going to get rid of this is to palm it off on somebody else. Hence why he took it to the flea market. The man said, that's fine, I'll take the doll. Whatever, haunted doll. 2 days later, he starts getting hit by severe migraines, like really incapacitating migraines. And then his cat died randomly. Then he started hearing voices and laughter in the house and was really freaked out, but didn't try to burn the doll, but obviously he knew the story. So he started a website, which you can still find online, where he tells the story of the doll and all the weird things that happened from what the old man told him. And since he took on the doll, Harold, remains locked in a suitcase, and I mean tied up in a suitcase that's locked, but still exists, still with the man. You can find his website online. Please don't ask me where it is. Oh no!
What's the website?
I don't know, but look up Harold the Doll and you will find him. But
Found
how
that
interesting
Penny,
is
because now
that?
she said it will create a post with a picture and a little web link for you. To have a little look.
Oh,
Serves you right.
right, I'm
Half
going
a
to
piece
have to
of
put that on
information.
there now. Web link. Oh, look. See if I can find it. You'll probably all find it all before the end of the show. Okay, so are we ready for the last doll?
Yes, let's get this right. Then we're going to finish
Let me
with
have a little
something.
drink.
We're going to finish with something a little bit more light-hearted.
Okay. The last doll is called Okiku of Hokkaido.
Well played.
So this story is based in Japan in 1918. A 17-year-old boy buys a traditional Japanese doll for his 2-year-old sister. She loves the doll a lot. The doll is everywhere the little girl is. I mean, everywhere. If she goes to the toilet, doll goes with her. She sits down for dinner, little girl sitting with the doll. When she goes to bed, the doll sleeps in the bed with her. Literally everywhere this girl goes, the doll is there. You can't separate it from her at all. So the little girl is called Akiku. So Akiku then says the doll's name is Akiku as well. Weird.
Akiku.
Yeah. So a year later, so in 1919, little girl's 3, she dies. She becomes very unwell. She has a huge fever and dies. Okay, so the doll, knowing the doll has been by her side consistently for a year, was supposed to be buried with her. For whatever reason, they didn't put the doll in.
Oops.
It was forgotten to put the doll in, and she was buried without. So the family obviously kept the doll, and what they did was, in their house, they created a shrine with the doll at the center of the shrine, flowers, photos, all the things that you would expect in a Japanese shrine, to their daughter, with the doll at the center of it. Now, the doll had a fringe much like this, but traditional Japanese hair. So it was a straight bob, jet black, cropped at the shoulders. So I'm sure you can all imagine what that looks like.
I can imagine what it sounds like.
So it was so it was cropped to here. I've seen photos. Over time, the family noticed the doll's hair had grown, and the doll's hair is now here and long and straggly, like a little girl's hair. Okay, the doll's never moved. It's on this shrine perpetually. Family are a little bit freaked out by this.
Not as much as the hairdresser was when they called her.
But the doll stays in the shrine. And then about 20 years later, the family are moving quite a distance away. And they don't really want to take the doll with them.
Well, that's just mean.
So they give her to the monks in the local temple. They explain the story and say, you know, this is what's been happening. Her hair gets cut, blah, blah. Akiku the doll still lives in the temple and now has hair that is down to her knees. She regularly gets her hair trimmed by the monks and it continues to grow. And if you look in her now slightly open mouth, and they've got a doll that it originally looked like next to it with a closed mouth now has slightly open mouth. You can see teeth, like they're growing as well. So her hair's growing, her teeth are growing. The monks properly are convinced that the doll is possessed by the little girl, that her spirit has transferred and is continuing to grow up within the doll. Here's what's weird. They've done scientific tests on the hair, and it has been confirmed it is not artificial hair, it is a child's hair.
Well, it's human hair.
It's human hair. But it's not tainted by things, because
There's no
adult
DNA
hair
test on
tends
it.
to be tainted by stuff.
Oh, so you mean it's soft?
So it's or that it's got other things in it like smog and nicotine and whatever.
Did they do a DNA test on it?
I don't know, but I know that they did scientific testing and it is
Well,
real
hopefully,
human hair.
that's pretty freaky.
So
If we've intrigued you to go and have a look. And
one
let
of
us
the
know.
monks apparently had this huge dream about the doll and said, the dream said to me, she is in the doll. Her soul now resides within the doll, and it is our role for however long we need to care for this doll. Hence, her hair is trimmed.
That's awesome.
She is
Sounds
looked
like a bucket list place to
after.
visit.
But how weird. But the interesting thing is, lots of Japanese plays and stories and movies originate from Okiku, the doll, including The Ring. When you did that, that's The Grudge.
Yeah.
But when you did that, it's likely that story originates from it as well. So all of their possession stories originate from Okiku of
Sandy, the TV's leaking. That's The Ring.
Hokkaido. Anyway, I thought that was an amazing story. So that's the last story on dolls that I'm going to tell you this evening.
Next week, I think we need to do something a bit more cheery, a bit more on the light side of things. We've been a bit spooky.
Killer
dark.
clowns.
Yeah, I think next week we need to do some stuff on. Well, I said I think we should talk about spiritual places we've been to,
Okay.
places in the UK or the world we've been to where we felt
You've leapt
spiritual
away.
connections.
Has anybody given any information what their thoughts are about the little doll stories?
I can't help you being behind the microphone.
Needy. Stop looking at me.
Actually, can you
No.
pop her back
Oh,
over there for me?
yes.
No, I want you to hold it. She don't want you to hold it.
No, well, I know this.
That's true as well. Yeah, they do worship the spirits of ancestors in Japan.
They do.
So yeah, they have a lot.
They
of,
absolutely adore this doll, and there is pictures and videos of the monks with the doll in the temple. Bizarre.
So yeah, we hope we've wet your whistle with some spooky doll stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of it is glamorized for TV. Obviously, we all know that. We're not all stupid. There's only ever a little bit of truth in anything. That goes for history, not necessarily storytelling.
Yes, it's like any other story. There is a seed of truth, and that grows with each telling.
Yeah, so they're always going to be embellished a little bit. But I also believe in the fact that if enough people believe something, they can you kind of end up manifesting it.
It's intentional.
Or even unintentional in this case. It's once you start to believe it, you kind of
manifest
end up
it.
creating it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Danny's saying she's going to have a look on the web now. So
Get looking.
Organise a little coach trip, Danny. We'll all go and have a look wherever this
What,
is.
to Japan?
Yeah, Wiccan Warriors coach trip.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Right, back to me now for a little bit. As you might have seen a little while ago or last week, we did a bit of a merch drop.
We did.
We've done a little bit of merch. It's not
Mug
something
shop.
we've got
Sorry, camera. Mug
loads
shop.
of or anything. There's some hoodies, some t-shirts, mugs and stickers, tote bags, things like that. I am trying to source one in the UK, but kind of just figuring out really whether there's actually a demand for it, to be fair. I like the idea of outdoor clothing you're protected from the elements, but do you want protection from the elements as well. Do you get my logic?
Are you talking about spirit elements?
Yeah, if you buy a hoodie, it protects you from the elements, the cold, the wind, the rain.
I want to interact, but I don't want to be freezing. So yeah.
So get a Wiccan Warriors hoodie and you're protected from the elements while also being protected
I've just realised
by the elements.
we haven't even got ours on.
No, I know. So I'm waiting for the new ones to arrive, but they are in America, so I am trying to source one in the UK.
Yeah,
if you could recommend one, that's great, because I can't find anywhere to buy a beanie hat at the minute. Logoed up.
Mickey, if you're watching, send us a message.
Yeah, actually, I've got a doll idea.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Now we're gonna finish with something a little bit lighthearted and a little bit of a rabbit hole that I've been diving down just recently, to do with 13 months in a year. Now, kind of got to stay with me on this. And there's a little bit, I've boiled this down because it's actually quite a lengthy thing to go into if you look into it. From the original creation of calendars and lunar cycles and how early primitive man planned his life within the seasons, to now as having the Gregorian calendar of 12 months. Some months 31, some days 28 and 30. So it's a very odd, and there's a maths aspect to this, and there's also a natural aspect to this. As man has evolved and we've industrialized our race and our environment, it's become better for humans to work in an industry finished pattern, 9 to 5. And you all following my logic here, yeah? So we all get 9 to 5, and then at 9 o'clock at night is a watershed, and then it's acceptable social times for bed and not go in bed. If you're a bit of a pisshead, you go out, then you do the walk of shame. Do you get what I mean? The social construct with time and how we manage time. But the original 13-month calendar throws all of that completely out the window, because the basis of it starts on a lunar cycle. I'm going to because I'm boiling this topic down, I'm going to kind of jump forward and backwards in the subject matter. Okay. If you look at, if there was 13 months with 28 days in each month, we get 365 days, bar about 0.7. So there's 1 or 2 holidays that fill that gap. But effectively, you have, if you divide the 365 by the 13, you get a much, much easier number to work with. Okay. Which is exactly how it was set out by the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Norse, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Celtic Druids, whose calendar dated all the way back to Babylonian calendars. The early calendars followed a 28-day lunar cycle. And the farming logic behind it meant that the time of year when we regarded the first of the year should actually be the 1st of April, because that's the beginning of spring. We'd be sowing, we'd be planting. That's where the weather's getting warmer. We'd be celebrating the days getting longer. It's our new year. The 28 days of the month is based on the 28 days it takes for the lunar cycle to go around, which incidentally was found on a cave that was put on there 32,000 years ago. There's a painting of a lunar cycle, which they suspect was because the person was farming. So it was farming logic. But also the way he'd drawn it resembled a snake. So you get quite a lot of imagery starting to come through. But also look at the numbers. There was 13 deities that were actually originally worshipped as the monthly thing. Okay. As far as the Mayans and the Egyptians and early pagan sort of logic, there was 13 deities that they gave each month to. The pagans, not so much. We only did our calendar by seasons. So we just divided it up, which is why when you look at a pagan calendar, it will say between these dates and these dates is this. Between these dates and these dates, it's this. Because we didn't give a shit about all the other months. We only were interested in those block seasons of whether we were getting sunlight or snow. It was harvest time. Is it springtime? What are we giving praise for and thanks?
So we have the wheel of the year with the Sabbats.
Yeah.
That celebrate seasonally.
Yeah, that is the early pagan calendar.
Yeah.
because we didn't have all the rest until years and years later.
Yeah.
2 seconds, let me just check on my notes. Yeah, so the 13, all of them linked to gods and goddesses. Now, like I said, I'm not taking you the whole journey down this rabbit hole. If you want to find out some more, Google it. There's plenty of stuff out there from all different perspectives as well. People saying we should campaign and get this done, and others saying don't be ridiculous, that would turn the world inside out. So yeah, have a read of it and see, join the debate. I don't know. The other logic with this is, if we worked on the basis of the 1st of April being what it was, we also need to change the monthly cycle of how we do things, which would change also how we as humans operate during the day. We all know of countries that are hot, so they take siestas in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So they work within the parameters of their environment. In the UK, as a country, years and years ago before electricity, we would be reliant on the light, harvest, and everything else. That's how we're going to do everything. And the brighter the moonlight is, the more we can do at night. So certain times of the month, we could do kind of work in the evenings. Like, I'm talking about sort of farming.
Okay.
So it follows that same 28-day cycle. The 28 days over the 13 months would make a much more mathematically easier equation to deal with, but also putting a shift on the seasons. The next quandary comes up, because our seasons are different to our pagans in Australia. So their season is going to be different.
Oh, it's the flip side.
And this is the problem I've always had with
Which
the
is
calendar.
what I explained to you about Samhain.
Yes.
We celebrate it in October. They celebrate it in May.
Yes. But globally, everything else, they celebrate at the same time as us.
Yeah.
So in theory, we shouldn't all on the planet celebrate Christmas at the same time, or harvest at the same time, or spring at the same time. It gets divided up into different bits. But because the calendar bridges the gap so that the human race can trade and work as one, I can kind of see the logic. So it's a massive infrastructure there just in those days. But the other interesting, and the last little fact I'm going to give you, is the original and early calendars were derived on the same 88 days for the lunar cycle, but they'd also documented that it was to do with the goddess, Mother Earth, and the menstrual cycle being a 28-day cycle. So I'll leave you with that. Early man made the calendar basically as a period checker.
Do we go a little bit bonkers when it's full moon, 28 days? Yeah, I think that's probably true.
So yeah, what do you think? Would it be healthier if we all had our own independent
Here's a bit of information. So the first calendar was the Roman calendars formalized first, which was the Julian calendar.
Yeah.
And then, bum, 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 in the 1580s, the church got involved and the Pope brought out the Gregorian calendar.
Yeah. They got some of the changes. Like I said, I didn't go into this in too much detail.
And then they went, Jesus wasn't born in the summer.
Yeah.
Jesus was born at the end of the year because that's convenient, because there's not much happening then, because it's cold and there's not much crops.
It all up because October's an 8, so that should be the 8th month, but it's not. It's the 10th month.
Yeah, so
Sept
the Julian
is
calendars
the 10th month,
that
and
had
it's the 9th
yeah,
month.
so the Julian calendar brought in the gods,
Yeah,
being the
Thor's
and the days of the week thing, and then the church got involved. Let's leave it at that.
The church got involved because it's the best way to control people, and that is all the church have ever been interested in, is the control of people.
But we're leaving this on a high note
It's positive.
this evening.
I'm not saying anything wrong.
Other than pagans, yay!
Yeah, we just. What day is it? I don't know. Mid-spring. I
don't know. Is it nap time or food time?
Yeah,
I could engage with that way of working completely.
Yeah, definitely go back to a much simpler way of working. Anyway, guys, we've overrun. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Comments before we
Let's
pop
have a quick
off.
look. Marion, yeah, it makes sense to have 28 days. Yeah. It's just, Jay, it's really thought-provoking. It is. Dive down the rabbit hole. Have a little look. I'm going to try and end each show with a little random rabbit hole to send you all down because my days are full of it.
And I'm just going to freak you out with scary.
So thank you, Sharon. Much love. Let's have a quick check-in on the love hearts. We've currently got 9. So that's good. We need double figures on that, really. So if a couple of people could hit the love heart, that'd be much appreciated.
Oh, I was going to say something. I've forgotten what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. Harold the Doll has got a Facebook page, just so you know. And I was just having a quick look there. Harold the Doll is in the UK.
Oh. There we go. Maybe we could do a little road trip.
Maybe we could do a little road trip. There is books about him. Don't forget at 10 o'clock this evening to turn all power off in your home. Lights.
Yeah, main power switch.
Yeah, just turn the power off and leave it off for 10 minutes. It is a silent protest to the power companies to show that they are not all powerful, that we do have power within our grasp and ability to manipulate. So at 10 o'clock, all power off for 10 minutes.
Yep. 10 minutes at 10. Thank you, Jay. Jay saying he's loved the first live show. Thank you for joining us.
It's Jerry. Time. Lovely Jerry. Jamming Jay's Jerry.
Excellent. Super. Right. Let me get me wear my things ready for the Dewberry,
outro
bit. Where's it gone?
Thank you again, lovely people. We will get round to having another spooky ramble, obviously, because I was contagious. We couldn't go anywhere.
No.
But we will get round to it.
Excellent. Right. Stay tuned for the sexy outro, and we will see you next Sunday at 8 o'clock. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.